The context of the escalating conflict between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip saw a recent intensification of attacks using both airstrikes and missile strikes on targets in Gaza. Over 400 targets of Hamas forces in Gaza have reportedly been destroyed. Meanwhile, a senior leader of Hamas, Mr. Osama Hamdan, on October 24, local time, called for a ceasefire in Gaza. A high-ranking member of Hamas's political office stated that Hamas currently has 35,000 fighters in Gaza, fully equipped and prepared for various scenarios, including a potential intervention by the United States and Europe. In another development, Osama Hamdan, a senior leader of Hamas, called for a ceasefire in Gaza. He emphasized that Arab countries, Muslim countries, and the United Nations should make efforts to urge Israel to halt its offensive. He also called for conditions to support humanitarian activities and allow for relief and aid efforts. The Egyptian National Information Center reported on the afternoon of October 24 that 457 tons of medicines and medical equipment, over 251 tons of food, and 87 tons of drinking water have been delivered to Gaza in the past 3 days. This is part of the humanitarian aid mobilized by Egypt from domestic sources, along with international community contributions gathered on the Sinai Peninsula for delivery to the people of Gaza. Various regional and global countries have sent a total of 39 relief flights, including medicines, medical equipment, and food supplies to the city of Arish in northern Sinai. French President Emmanuel Macron visited both Israel and the West Bank on October 24 to express solidarity with Israel and promote efforts to rescue hostages held by Hamas and deliver humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza. During his visit to Tel Aviv, President Macron had meetings with the Israeli leadership. The foreign ministers of 3 Arab countries, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan, held a press conference on the sidelines of the United Nations Security Council meeting to express their views on the current conflict in Gaza. The Arab foreign ministers once again called on Israel to immediately cease the siege and attacks in Gaza, creating conditions for resuming negotiations to seek a peaceful solution in the Middle East region. Regarding the future of Gaza, even if Israel manages to completely eliminate Hamas, the question arises, does the country have a plan for the future of Gaza? Leaving aside periodic cross-border conflicts, Israel has engaged in 3 major offensives against Hamas since the withdrawal of its forces from Gaza in 2005. These occurred in 2008, 2014, and 2021. Each conflict involved ground campaigns with Israeli forces in Gaza. Israel has assembled a massive force for another ground offensive aimed at retaliating against Hamas's border incursions, which led to the deaths of around 1,400 Israelis by October 7. This offensive is considered the largest by Israel since it deployed troops into Lebanon in 1982, with the goal of pushing the Palestine Liberation Organization, PLO, out of its bases there. Israel succeeded in that objective, but an unforeseen consequence of the conflict was the development of the Shiite Hezbollah armed group with Iranian support, which became a much more potent adversary to Israel than the PLO. This highlights a clear reality that wars can have unforeseen consequences. In the ongoing conflict with Hamas, the outcome for Israel is uncertain, but the risks and challenges of a ground offensive in Gaza are evident. Urban warfare, street to street, in a highly densely populated and narrow environment would be extremely difficult for Israeli forces. Hamas also has the advantage of an extensive network of underground tunnels, estimated to be up to 500 kilometers long, enabling their fighters to launch attacks and disappear. Besides these challenges, there are other concerns, including civilian casualties and the fate of around hostages held by Hamas. Israel's intentions if they gain control of northern Gaza remain unclear. According to the United Nations, this coastal strip is facing a dire humanitarian situation, and there are minimal options for territorial governance. French President Emmanuel Macron's visit on October 24 aimed to express support for Israel and mobilize international humanitarian relief efforts for the people of Gaza. However, the situation is highly complex and presents Israel with several challenges and uncertainties in its strategies.